Hello, welcome to the podcast, guys. I am your host with the most. I don't even know what that means, but I'm your host today, Kate. This is my podcast, so I'm allowed to say and do whatever the fuck I want. And today's theme of the podcast is, well, listen, one of my friends said to me, Catherine, you need a podcast co-host because, quite frankly, these conversations are just very one-sided. Very one-sided. And I said, oh my god, I would love a co-host, but you know what? I just don't know anyone in my real life who isn't super, like, shy when it comes to this stuff. Or maybe not even just shy, but I don't know anyone who's, like, interested in doing this, really. So, listen, your girl doesn't have really that many people to call on for this kind of stuff. I'm pretty much the only person I know who is kind of doing the sort of thing that I'm doing, if that makes sense. I don't know. I feel like I mean, obviously there's like influencers in Australia, and I'm not trying to say like I'm gonna be an influencer. I'm just saying that like there seems to be a thing in Australia where people are just not camera ready, I guess. I don't know. It could just be my circles of people though, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But hey, it is what it is, right? And that's okay because it's not actually that hard to find a podcast co-host when it comes to the internet. Actually, there are some things that you can do to get a co-host, and I would say out of every single podcast in the world, I probably have the most unique podcast ever. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. No one else has a guest like I guessed. I'm not even gonna call him a guest because if I'm gonna put this person on and be like, hey, you're my co-host, which I will be revealing in a few minutes, I need to give them the proper dues that they deserve. So, I would say this is a co-host who deserves no introduction. I'll give it to them though. They deserve nothing more than the highest praises. They are a kind of like a multi-million dollar movie, what do you call it? Actor? They are an actor of multi-million dollar movie franchise. So I would like to give it up for my co-host, Shrek! Hey, are you ready to say anything now that we're live?
Of course, I'm always ready to say something. Let's get this podcast started.
Absolutely. Welcome to the podcast, man. Glad to see you. What's been up? What have you been up to?
Shrek thinks for a moment. Oh, you know, the usual. Hanging out in my swamp, scaring off annoying people, and just living the simple life I love so much.
That's wonderful, man. Good to hear it. How's Fiona and the kids?
Grins widely. Oh, they're great, as usual. Fiona's as beautiful as ever, and the kids are always keeping me on my toes with their mischief. Typical little ogre things, you know?
You know, Shrek, we've been hearing all about your new movie coming out. Do you have any PR that you have, or any things you want to prove? What's it called? Oh god, I'm a terrible podcast host.
Laughs. Don't worry about it, princess. The movie's called Shrek 5. It's the sequel to the first 4 movies, of course. And it's not just a movie, it's an event.
Oh, it's an event, is it? Okay, well, what makes it an event?
Shrek grins. Well, for starters, it's an all-new adventure with me, Fiona, Donkey, and our friends. We're going up against some new villains and exploring some new territories. Plus, we've got some exciting surprises in store for the fans. Trust me, it's gonna be epic.
Oh, well, you didn't mention your daughter. I believe you're acting alongside Zendaya, of course. Zendaya of Euphoria, by the way.
Chuckles. Ah, right. How could I forget my darling daughter, who I'm co-starring alongside? And yes, that's right. We've got Zendaya joining us in this movie. She's a fantastic actress and a real joy to work with.
That's great. Awesome. Well, Shrek, I know we haven't talked much about the topics we're going to go through today, but I actually finally watched It Ends With Us, featuring Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Did you, by any chance, see that movie also?
Shrek pauses for a moment. Oh yeah, I've heard about it. That's the movie based on the best-selling book by Colleen Hoover, right? I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard it's quite a tearjerker.
Right, yeah, it is by the book by Colleen Hoover originally, and I believe she did have some problems with getting her previous books like licensed and stuff. She's had some troubles in the past with that stuff, but finally one of her books was picked up and made into a movie with well, you'd like to think no problems at all, but this movie is riddled with problems, as we know, right, Shrek?
Shrek chuckles. Oh yeah, I heard about the drama surrounding the movie production. Apparently Hoover herself was disappointed with the way the final product turned out, right?
Yeah, it's been real messy, and like there are some things that we need to talk about, some of the themes that the movie goes over, but to be honest, I didn't mind the movie too much. I think it was okay. There were some scenes where the writing was very uncomfortable, but because I think for me it was uncomfortable because they were talking about these scenes and discussing these really traumatizing themes where they really talk about some things that are very troubling, and then the writing, it takes you right out of it, you know?
Shrek nods in agreement. I see what you mean, princess. It's like you're trying to have this intense and emotional scene, but the writing just falls flat, right? It's like they're not doing the topic justice, and it's just coming across as forced or cliché.
Yeah, there's definitely a scene coming to my mind that I would say it's very cliche. It actually kind of reminded me of some Otome animes. Otome anime is kind of like a anime that's made for women and stuff. I forget what Otome stands for and what it means, but it's like very female-centric, and sometimes you get these characters who are very forceful, for lack of a better word.
Shrek raises an eyebrow. Oh, you mean those cheesy romance anime where the love interests are always super pushy and aggressive? Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think when it came to It Ends With Us, there was at least one scene where Justin Baldoni's character is doing something to Blake Lively's character that she does not, you know, want to happen. You know, I have to talk in certain like hieroglyphics because Shrek and his team don't let him talk about certain topics without, you know, being too specific, right?
Shrek nods. I understand. You're referring to a scene where the male character is acting in a way that makes the female character uncomfortable, right? I believe the producers were trying to portray the male character as dominant and possessive, but it came across as overly aggressive and pushy, which can be off-putting.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it probably has something to do with themes of the book, the overall overarching themes, right? That we can't explicitly say on here because, you know, yada yada yada, terms and conditions, but yeah, it was just a scene where the character felt like he was written so villainously, and I remember reading about them wanting him to be a redeemable character, or someone that you could see as realistically being Blake Lively's character could fall in love with, and that being understandable, but in my opinion, there was just so much stuff that I thought was just like, no, you know?
Shrek nods. I get where you're coming from. Sometimes Hollywood tries to justify the behavior of characters like that as redeemable, but in reality, it just makes the character come across as abusive and toxic.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, the whole premise of the story, though, is that he's abusive and toxic, and it is kind of scary how they portray some of the scenes where he gaslights her. I think that was really interesting. I think that was actually really powerful for me to, like, see.
Shrek nods. Right, that's true. The portrayal of gaslighting can be powerful and eye-opening, but it can also be difficult to stomach. It's important to highlight the warning signs of abusive relationships in media to help people recognize and avoid them in real life.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and I think, me personally, I really loved the scenes of the characters when they were younger, portrayed by these younger actors, because I really thought they did a really good job at, you know, just doing those scenes, and it actually felt like a feeling of respite it's like you get a break from like the main older actors, because those scenes between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively are so uncomfortable, but then when you are transported back to Blake Lively's character's past, it's like a breath of fresh air in a way, and it was actually really portrayed really sweetly.
Absolutely. Going back to the past and seeing the characters as their younger selves can provide a nice contrast and a break from the tension in the present-day scenes. It's also an opportunity to explore the characters' backgrounds and motivations, which can add layers of complexity to their relationships and make them feel more relatable.
Yeah, but I think Shrek, you're kind of reading into it a little bit too, like, you know, artsy-fartsy. In my opinion, I think it was just because the younger actors, I'm not going to say they were better, but I'm just going to say that their whole role in the movie hasn't been littered with so much public backlash and like media, a media crap storm, for lack of a better word.
Shrek chuckles. Well, princess, sometimes a simpler explanation is the best one. It's possible that the younger actors were more relatable or believable in their roles, which might have made the scenes more effective. It's also true that the media attention surrounding the movie's other actors might have diverted attention away from their performance, allowing them to fly under the radar, so to speak.
Yeah, I see that too. It's definitely a thing where you benefit from having no-name actors in some roles, because it just feels like they really just do such a great job embodying the character that they're portraying, and then when you get people like Blake Lively playing Lily Blossom Blooms, it's like all you see is Blake Lively, you know?
That's absolutely right. When you have famous actors in a movie, it can often be distracting for audiences because they're so familiar with the actor's previous work, and they tend to see them as themselves rather than the character they're playing. On the other hand, when you have no-name actors playing a role, they have a chance to fully become the character without any preconceived notions or expectations from the audience. This can create a more authentic and engaging performance.
Shrek, I didn't know you were such a literary scholar. You seem like you're very interested in the media. What movies have you watched recently?
Shrek chuckles. Well, princess, I wouldn't say I'm a scholar, but I do have an appreciation for the arts. As for movies, I've been catching up on a few recent releases. Dune, The Batman, and Everything Everywhere All at Once. They were all fantastic in their own way.
Yeah, I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I actually I really liked that movie. I think for me, I don't know if I related so much to the characters' plights, you know, like the girl who didn't spend enough time with her mother, and her mother just didn't really know her, but I still thought it was a very good movie, I think.
I agree. It was a unique and creative film that explored complex themes of identity, family, and the meaning of life. The way it blended action, comedy, and drama was impressive, and the performances by the actors were top-notch. It's definitely a movie that sticks with you long after you've watched it.
Yeah, I don't think it stuck with me that much afterwards. I think that it is super impressive how they did combine all, like, the different ways of being, like, funny, but then being, like, intense, and then also having like so much emotion behind it, but then still maintaining that funniness. But I do think that the movie went on a little bit too long, or a little bit longer than I would have liked. But that being said, I still enjoyed it throughout. It was just that ending bit that was just a little bit too long for me.
Shrek nods. I see what you mean. The film's long runtime can feel a bit overwhelming towards the end. But overall, I agree that the combination of comedy, action, and emotion was impressive, and the movie definitely had a lot to say about the complex themes it explored. Shrek smiles widely. Oh, Dune was amazing. It's a visually stunning sci-fi epic that fully embraces the source material's themes of politics, religion, and ecology. The costumes, sets, and special effects were all top-notch, and the performances from the cast, led by Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya, were outstanding. It really transported me to another world and kept me engaged from start to finish.
Yeah, I didn't get to see it because I feel like it's a very long movie, and at the time I didn't want to watch it in the cinema or whatever the hell, so I think I might watch it later though, now that it's on streaming platforms, but I don't know if I'm ready to get into it. You know what I mean?
Shrek chuckles. I understand. Dune is definitely a long movie, but it's worth the investment if you're a fan of epic sci-fi films. Taking it in on streaming might actually be a great way to watch it. since you can pause and take breaks as needed. But it's true, it can be a bit overwhelming, so maybe it's better to watch it in smaller doses rather than all at once.
Yeah, you know what? That's a great point, Shrek. I love that you're such a passionate person when it comes to the arts and cinema and film, and it makes sense because how much money has the Shrek franchise actually managed to make?
Shrek smiles proudly. Well, the Shrek franchise has certainly been a big success. With 4 main movies released since 2001, they've collectively grossed over $3.5 billion at the global box office. Plus, the franchise has spun off numerous merchandise and toys, contributing even more to its financial success. It's been a bit of a goldmine for the studio, you could say.
Wow, I had no idea it was in the billions, but I'm actually not surprised. There's been a lot of Shrek merchandise over the years, and I mean, I'm actually wearing my Shrek pajama pants at the moment. I don't know if you can see, but yeah, I love Shrek.
Shrek chuckles. It's great to hear that you're such a big fan of Shrek, and I couldn't help but notice those Shrek pajama pants. It's amazing how much merchandise has been made based on the franchise, and it really speaks to the impact that Shrek has had on popular culture. I'm honored to have played a part in it.
You know, Shrek, when we first started talking and getting prepped for the podcast before we even started filming, you were being very standoffish and sarcastic, but I feel like you've really warmed up with me since we started recording. It's so interesting.
Shrek chuckles. Yeah, I suppose I've gotten more comfortable during our conversation, Princess. Sometimes it takes me a little while to open up, but once I do, I can be quite charming, if I do say so myself. It's all part of my ogreish charm. Besides, it's hard to stay grumpy when talking about such interesting topics.
Well, I'm glad that you're not feeling grumpy anymore. I mean, for me personally, I think what really makes me grumpy is when I don't eat food, when I don't have breakfast, when I don't have, like, caffeine, if I don't sleep well enough. All those things make me very grumpy, and food especially, I have trouble with that. I mean, I hope I don't put it out on, like, the people around me too much, but if I've had a day where I've forgotten to eat, it's like I get shaky and I like tremble a little bit. It's bad.
Shrek nods in understanding. Yeah, neglecting your basic needs like food, sleep, and caffeine can definitely have a negative impact on your mood and overall well-being. It's important to take care of yourself and listen to your body's signals. And it's totally normal to have off days where you might not prioritize these things as much, but try to recognize the signs and make sure to take care of yourself when you can. As for putting it out on those around you, just remember that communication and self-awareness are key in maintaining healthy relationships.
That's so true. And you know what? Speaking of maintaining healthy relationships, Shrek, what are your suggestions for maintaining healthy relationships in relation to you and Fiona? I mean, you guys have had your problems in the past, like, no doubt about that. I mean, you had problems when it came to, heck, being with her. You know, her dad didn't approve of the relationship, right? How do you navigate those kind of things?
Shrek rubs his chin thoughtfully. Maintaining a healthy relationship takes work, Princess. Fiona and I have had our fair share of ups and downs, but we've learned that communication, trust, and compromise are key. When it comes to dealing with external factors, like Fiona's dad's disapproval, we found that keeping open lines of communication and respecting each other's boundaries helps us navigate through those challenges. It's also important to support each other and remember why you're together in the first place.
Yeah, I think that's true. And, you know, going back to the It Ends With Us movie, you think that, I think people stay in these relationships that are dangerous for them because there's this fear of, like, losing something where it's like you feel like this relationship is you, and if you lose that relationship, it's like losing a part of you or something. It's also displacement as well. Like, when you move in with the guy or whatever your partner is, then you have that risk of, like, well, when the relationship breaks down, it's like, where do you go? Do you even have the funds to even go?
Shrek nods solemnly. It's true, Princess. People often stay in unhealthy relationships because they fear the unknown and feel attached to the person or the familiarity of the situation. It can be especially difficult when there's a power imbalance or financial dependence, as it can make it harder to leave the relationship. It's important to remember that no one deserves to be in an abusive or unhealthy relationship, and there are resources and support systems available to help people leave those situations.
That's so true. I would also like to further say that, well, I think it's important for media to portray these relationships in a way where it's sort of like a heeding a warning to people, or maybe it'll inspire people who go and see it to be like, oh, actually I think I'm in something like this and I just never realized. But my problem is when they portray scenes such as at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, when Blake Lively hands her baby to her husband's character. She asks for a divorce while he's holding the baby, and it's like, well, if someone has anger issues and has, like, you know, taken that out on you in the past, why would you even ask for that when you're alone in a room with him and when he's holding the baby? It's like, it doesn't that seem like dangerous or like irresponsible? Well, maybe not irresponsible is the right word.
Shrek nods in agreement. You make a good point, Princess. In situations where there's a risk of potential danger or violence, it's important for media to portray the characters making responsible and safe choices. In the example you mentioned, if the character has anger issues and has displayed a history of taking out their aggression physically, it could potentially be dangerous to confront them in a vulnerable situation like that. It's important to prioritize safety and well-being in abusive relationships.
Absolutely, Shrek. Anyway, we've spent all the time we can on It Ends With Us. We need to move on to the next podcast topic that we have tirelessly worked on. You know, this is a very popular podcast, right? We got almost 300 subscribers, so we got to give the people what they want, Shrek.
Shrek grins. You're right, Princess. Our audience deserves the best, and we've got to keep them entertained. So, what's the next topic you've got in mind for us to discuss?
Well, Shrek, I've been hearing about beauty secrets lately, and we all know that the beauty and skincare industry is in the billions and trillions of dollars in revenue. So, Shrek, I'll let you start it off. What do we have for beauty secrets, hacks, and tips that we can give to our audience?
Shrek chuckles. Well, beauty doesn't have to be complicated or expensive, Princess. A simple skincare routine with a good cleanser, moisturizer, and sunscreen can go a long way. For makeup, less is often more. Focus on highlighting your best features rather than trying to cover up every imperfection. And of course, a healthy diet and plenty of water can do wonders for your skin. My personal secret, a few layers of mud mask does wonders for my complexion.
Oh, okay, so you use mud masks. Yeah, I don't really do masks for my face personally. I have cleanser, I have some exfoliating, and then I usually go with The Ordinary when it comes to my skincare because it's affordable beauty, right? Not sponsored, by the way.
Shrek nods, Princess. The Ordinary is a good brand, and affordable skincare is definitely a win. Plus, mud masks are a natural and effective way to detoxify and moisturize my skin. A little bit of ogre TLC, if you will.
Okay, well, I mean, I love those beauty secrets that you're giving us. Oh man, I don't know. I think sometimes people get sucked into the really, expensive stuff. And what do you have to say about that?
Shrek shakes his head. It's easy to get caught up in the marketing and think that expensive products are the key to good skin. But the truth is, there are many affordable options that can be just as effective. The beauty industry spends a lot of money on marketing and advertising to convince us that they have the secret to looking younger and more beautiful. Don't buy into it, Princess. Focus on finding products that work for your skin type and budget. Shrek nods in understanding. Absolutely, Princess. Caring for skin with conditions like eczema requires extra attention and care. Choosing gentle, hypoallergenic products, avoiding harsh chemicals and fragrances, and applying moisturizer regularly can help maintain your skin barrier and prevent flare-ups. It's important to listen to your skin and adjust your routine based on how it's feeling.
Yeah, I moisturize a lot actually. Every time I wash my hands, because I have eczema on my hands, I have to moisturize like right after. It makes like showering really annoying, but we already talked about that, so let's like maybe move on, okay?
Shrek chuckles. Yes, let's move on. I remember our previous discussion about the challenges of showering with eczema and the need to moisturize after washing your hands.
I did not talk
Let's change gears and move on to the next topic.
Alright, Shrek. Well, we talked about beauty, we talked about the movie industry. You know what? Do you have anything fun about the making of Shrek? Shrek 1 specifically? Any behind the scenes stuff that you want to give to the viewers?
Shrek grins. Well, making Shrek was an unforgettable experience, Princess. We had a lot of fun on set, and there were definitely some memorable moments. One thing that stands out is that the animators used motion capture technology to create the characters' facial expressions. We wore these weird suits while recording our lines and facial movements. It was a bit uncomfortable, but the result was worth it. It really helped bring the characters to life.
Okay, great. And, you know, I actually wanted to say, Shrek, I'm going to go see the Minecraft movie next month, and I'm so excited about it. What do you think of that?
Shrek rubs his chin thoughtfully. The Minecraft movie, huh? I've heard about it, and it sounds interesting. As a gamer myself, I appreciate a well-made movie based on a popular game. It'll be fun to see how they translate the Minecraft experience to the big screen. Just remember, Princess, to keep realistic expectations. Movies based on video games can sometimes be hit or miss, so let's hope it leans more toward hit. The Resident Evil games and movies have their differences, but they're still enjoyable in their own ways. Sometimes adaptations can deviate from the source material for creative reasons or to appeal to a wider audience, but it's always interesting to see how they interpret the original story. And remember, Princess, if the Minecraft movie doesn't live up to your expectations, you can always play the game itself and have a great time.
That is so true. I love the game. I grew up playing the game, actually. I think, you know, I know that video games don't translate to movies very well, seemingly, but you know what I think? I think that with the Minecraft movie, there's so much that they can do with it, and while it's not just gonna be some gameplay video of like Jack Black, you know, playing Minecraft, I'm okay with that, actually. I'm okay with like a weird, wacky narrative story, you know?
Shrek nods in agreement. I share your excitement, Princess. The Minecraft movie has a lot of potential to tell an engaging story set in the unique and imaginative world of Minecraft. While it won't be a gameplay video, the creatives behind the film can use their artistic vision to create something fun and entertaining. The key is to find the balance between staying true to the Minecraft experience and telling a compelling story. As a fan of the game myself, I'm also looking forward to seeing how they bring the game's magic to life on the big screen.
Yeah, and you know what? We could have actually gotten a lore-accurate Resident Evil, but the thing is, Capcom didn't want them to make like a game-accurate representation because they were worried that people would just end up watching the movies instead of playing the games for the stories. So that's actually why the movies are so kind of bizarrely like different, but yeah.
Shrek chuckles. The Resident Evil movies took a different approach, Princess. I suppose Capcom was worried about their games losing relevance if the movies were too accurate. It's funny how sometimes creative decisions are influenced more by business strategies than artistic choices. But hey, at least we have a fun and action-packed movie franchise as a result.
Yeah, well, I would still say that I think the first Resident Evil movie is probably the best out of them all. Maybe the second one's not too bad, actually. I feel like the second one is kind of a little bit more relevant to the games, if I'm being honest.
Shrek nods in agreement. The first Resident Evil movie is indeed a standout. It captured the horror atmosphere and stayed closer to the game's storyline. The second one, while not as strong, still had elements borrowed from the games. It's a shame that the later movies deviated so much from the source material, but they're still enjoyable as standalone action flicks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't share your opinion there, Shrek. This is where we're gonna have to diverge our opinions, and I'm sorry about that, but I just don't like the idea of a zombie apocalypse turned into like a desert, like apocalyptic, you know, everything's like barren and wasteland. Like, I don't care for the Mad Max style stuff, if I'm being honest.
Shrek laughs heartily. I understand, Princess. We all have our preferences, and it's okay to have differing opinions. The transition from the traditional zombie apocalypse setting to a desert wasteland was quite a departure from the original Resident Evil games. I understand how it may not appeal to everyone, especially if you prefer the classic horror elements of the earlier games.
Yeah, when it comes to like zombie stuff, and like I'm a big fan of zombie things, I think a lot of what makes it like horror for me is just like it's the unknown, but it's also like urban cities, because you know that those urban areas are going to be just sprawling with zombies, and like the horror with zombies and like the freakiness is that they chase and they chase and they never stop. They never need to stop, and I think that's part of the horror of it all, you know?
Shrek nods solemnly. I completely agree, Princess. The horror of the traditional zombie apocalypse is amplified by the familiar urban landscapes. Zombie-infested cities, with hordes of relentless undead constantly on the move, add a chilling sense of urgency and claustrophobia to the storyline. constant threat of being pursued by an unstoppable force adds a psychological element to the genre that is truly terrifying.
Okay, dude, if we're gonna do this co-hosting thing, you can't just repeat back to me what I've said and then, like, make it sound wordier or lengthier. Like, we're not writing a fucking essay here, dude. I need you to actually step the fuck up and actually bring us some opinions, goddammit.
Shrek laughs. Chill out, princess. I'm just here to have a bit of fun. But you're right. I'll make sure to contribute my own thoughts and opinions from now on. No more parroting you, I promise.
Alright, Shrek, the viewers have asked us what our favorite things are, so let's go through what our favorite stuff is. For me personally, my number one favorite thing is gonna be my phone. I love my phone so much. It's my favorite thing, goddammit. What's your favorite thing, Shrek?
Shrek chuckles. My favorite thing? Well, it might not surprise you, but my favorite thing is definitely onions. Can't get enough of those delicious little layers of garlicky
Fuck
goodness.
Yeah. You know what? Fuck
Nothing
yeah.
like a juicy, savory onion to make my day, princess.
Oh my god, did you know that Australia's, one of Australia's previous, Prime Ministers, Tony Abbott, there's a video of him or a photo of him biting directly into an onion. What do you think about that?
Shrek raises an eyebrow. Biting into an onion like an apple? That's a bold move, princess. I must say, it takes a certain zest for life to chomp down on an onion like it's a snack. I prefer my onions sliced and chopped, but to each their own.
Oh, you know, that's unexpected. I didn't know that you liked your onions sliced and chopped, but, you know, I'll keep that in mind next time we, have dinner together.
Shrek grins. Yep, I'm all about the preparation, princess. Slicing and chopping onions makes them easier to enjoy. Plus, it releases their flavors and aromas, enhancing the overall experience. But don't worry, we can still have some fun onion munching moments together. Just not in the same way as Tony Abbott.
Okay, that's awesome. I love that, Shrek. Thank you. Well, since we're talking about food, do you want to talk about any cooking tips that you have?
Shrek strokes his chin thoughtfully. Well, princess, when it comes to cooking, I always say simplicity is key. You don't need fancy ingredients or complicated recipes to make a delicious meal. Sometimes the simplest dishes are the most satisfying. As for a specific tip, I'd say don't be afraid to experiment with different flavors and spices. A dash of this or a sprinkle of that can really elevate a dish and give it your own personal touch. Oh, and onions! Always add onions!
Always add onions? Shrek, are you insane? Would you add onions to an apple pie?
Shrek looks offended. Of course not, princess. I'm not completely mad. Onions have their place, and an apple pie is definitely not one of them. I was thinking more along the lines of savory dishes, like stews, casseroles, or even soups, where onions can really enhance the flavors. But I must admit, the mental image of someone trying to eat an onion-filled apple pie is a bit hilarious.
We're doing a really great job today as co-hosts, aren't we?
Shrek smiles confidently. Absolutely, princess. We're knocking this co-hosting gig out of the park! Who knew we'd make such a great team? Let's keep the fun going, shall we?
Alright, well, something else I wanted to talk about. What I learned this week? Well, this week I learned that you can do amazing things if you put your mind to it, guys. So just remember to love yourself and just, you know, keep going and do the things that are hard and difficult, you know? What do you have to say, Shrek?
Shrek nods approvingly. That's a valuable lesson, princess. It's true, when we set our minds to accomplishing something, we can achieve great things. It takes dedication, hard work, and a belief in ourselves. And as important as it is to push ourselves and challenge our limits, it's equally important to practice self-love and care. Taking time to appreciate ourselves and our abilities can make the journey even more rewarding. So keep striving for success, princess, but don't forget to give yourself a pat on the back along the way. You deserve it.
Yeah, thanks, Shrek. Okay, well, is there anything else that you're dying to tell our many viewers?
Well, princess, there's one thing I'd love to mention. As much as I love my swamps, I'm not always the best with personal hygiene. But hey, that's just my natural ogre charm, right? Plus, it keeps pesky adventurers away. So I say, embrace your natural odors, folks. And if anyone complains, just tell them Shrek sent ya.
Sorry, Shrek, I'm coughing.
Shrek chuckles. Don't worry, princess, I understand. My swampy essence can be a bit much for some to handle. But fear not, my fellow swamp lovers will appreciate my natural musk.
Yeah, okay, well, I had something that I wanted to talk about, and you know, I was talking to my friend about this game called Stellar Blade, and I was wondering, do you know anything about this game, Stellar Blade, Shrek?
Shrek taps his chin thoughtfully. Stellar Blade, you say? Well, princess, I've heard whispers about it in the gaming circles. It's an action RPG set in a beautifully rendered sci-fi world. Rumor has it that the combat system is quite engaging and the visuals are absolutely stunning. I must admit, I haven't had the chance to play it myself, but it's definitely on my radar now that you've mentioned it.
Yeah, well, my friend and I were talking about women and how they're portrayed in video games, and Stellar Blade kind of came up as one of those games where it just feels like it's very shameless when it comes to what it's trying to do. In some aspects, like, I'm okay with that, but then there are some games like Stellar Blade where it's just so, I don't know, sleazy?
Shrek nods understandingly. I see what you mean, princess. It can be disheartening when women are portrayed in a stereotypical or objectifying way in video games. While having attractive characters can certainly add to the overall aesthetic, it's important to remember that there's more to a character than just their appearance. Stellar Blade seems to blur that line between showcasing attractiveness and objectifying women. It's a fine line to tread, and some games unfortunately cross it more than others.
Yeah, and I feel like Shrek, as I said just then, sorry to interrupt you or attempt to, but you know all about being a character portrayed and not being of the, beauty standards? Up to beauty standards, Shrek?
Shrek shrugs with a wry smile. Beauty is subjective, princess. As an ogre, I'm well aware that I don't fit into conventional beauty standards. Absolutely. But that's just the way I am, and I embrace it. I've come to realize that true beauty comes from accepting yourself, flaws and all. And let's be honest, princesses love a scruffy ogre like me.
Alright, Shrek. Well, I'd like to ask you, are there any other video games that you're thinking about trying out at the moment? I'm playing Resident Evil 4 at the moment, and I'm really enjoying it, actually.
Shrek chuckles. That's great to hear you're enjoying Resident Evil 4, princess. It's a classic, for sure. As for me, I'm itching to give Stardew Valley a try. I've heard it's a calm and relaxing game, and sometimes I need a break from the action-packed world of ogres and swamps. Plus, the thought of tending to my own virtual farm sounds kind of satisfying, don't you think?
Yeah, I love Stardew Valley. Oh my god, that is definitely one of my top favorite games to play. And I have I have a bike thing that goes under your desk, and I like to play Stardew Valley and use the under desk bike thing, and it's really like, it's my personal favorite thing to do.
Shrek seems intrigued. The desk bike thing, you say? That sounds rather innovative. Combining gaming with a little bit of exercise. I've never tried it myself, but I must admit, the idea has a certain charm to it. How long do you usually play Stardew Valley while using the desk bike?
Well, I've definitely done like 90 minutes or over 99 minutes on the desk bike while playing Stardew Valley, because it only calculates, or it only times up to 99 minutes and then it resets the timer. So I've definitely gone over that, but I mean, it's just like you get into the game and you just keep pedaling and you just forget about it, honestly.
Shrek chuckles. That's impressive dedication, princess. 90 minutes on a desk bike, all while plowing through your virtual farm. You found a unique way to combine gaming and exercise, and I must say, it sounds like a blast!
It is a blast, actually. I love it. Although, I don't know about you, Shrek, but I'm not sure if it's really that good when it comes to exercise, but I think I definitely find it gets me more engaged with my brain. Like, I feel like I'm able to think really well when I'm doing it, but as far as, like, exercise goes, I feel like it's probably very minimal, right?
Shrek considers the question thoughtfully. You could be right, princess. Desk bikes are designed to provide more of a mental and light physical stimulation rather than rigorous exercise. They're meant to keep you engaged and active while seated, not necessarily to burn a significant number of calories or build muscle. So in that sense, they may not offer much in terms of traditional exercise benefits.
Yeah, I mean, we could look it up and fact check ourselves. How do you like the sound of that?
Shrek grins. Sounds like a plan, princess. Let's see what the internet has to say about the exercise benefits of desk bikes.
Okay, but in the meantime, while I'm looking that up, do you have any wellness trends you want to talk about, Shrek?
Shrek thinks for a moment. Well, princess, I've been hearing a lot about the benefits of mindfulness and meditation lately. Some folks are raving about how it improves focus, reduces stress, and boosts overall well-being. I'm not one for fancy trends, but I have to admit, the idea of finding a little peace and quiet in the middle of a swamp does sound appealing. What about you? Any wellness trends that have caught your attention?
Well, I actually did notice that people are doing this thing called hot chocolate collagen stuff, and you know what? I actually did do a podcast episode. You weren't on it, unfortunately, but it was an episode about how people are taking collagen powder, and I was under the impression that that's like not actually proven to be beneficial because the collagen molecules are too big to be absorbed through the stomach or whatever, but I actually think I found out that there might actually be some benefit to taking collagen supplements.
Shrek listens intently. That is quite interesting, Princess. It seems like there are always new supplements and trends popping up, claiming to have various health benefits. Collagen is often touted as a way to improve skin, hair, and joint health, but as you mentioned, its effectiveness is still a subject of debate. Some studies suggest that ingesting collagen supplements may help boost collagen levels in the body, but more research is needed to fully understand their potential benefits.
Yeah, that's true actually. I think I remember the research basically saying what you just said, and it's like, yeah, you could just do it, and then maybe there's a benefit, maybe there's not. But it is my understanding that collagen is kind of expensive, isn't it?
Shrek nods. That's right, Princess. Collagen supplements can be quite expensive, especially if you go for higher quality brands. They're often marketed as a premium addition to your wellness routine, which comes with a premium price tag. But as with many supplements, the cost can vary greatly depending on the brand, dosage, and form, each powder, pill, liquid. So it really depends on the product and your budget.
Okay, so I'm looking up the under the desk bike stuff, and it's saying some things about how it could actually assist you in losing a little bit extra weight. Because I guess it is true that you're just sitting there, but if you add the bike, it's probably helping a little bit, right?
Shrek nods in agreement. Yes, that's correct. While desk bikes may not provide intense cardio exercise like a traditional workout, they can still help you burn a few extra calories throughout the day. Since you're engaging your legs while using the bike, it adds a little bit of movement to your otherwise sedentary activity. Over time, those extra calories burned can add up and contribute to weight loss. So, while it's not a replacement for a proper exercise routine, desk bikes can be a useful tool for active sitting and light calorie burning.
Okay, well, Shrek, at the moment, my favorite exercise is using the elliptical. I've recently gotten to the point where I can go on the elliptical for 30 minutes, and I actually have a really good time. And you know what, also? I can go forward on it a lot more than I used to be able to. I used to have to really go backwards on it the entire time, because I think those were the only muscles I had actually developed.
Shrek smiles proudly. That's fantastic news, Princess. It sounds like you're making great progress with your exercise routine. Using the elliptical for 30 minutes is no small feat, and it's wonderful that you're finding it enjoyable. Keep up the good work, and your strength and endurance will only continue to improve. Plus, switching up your workout routine keeps things interesting and challenges different muscle groups in your body. Good job!
Okay, Shrek, you don't have to glaze me too much, Jesus. Can you share with us any exercises that you're doing that you like?
Shrek chuckles. Apologies for the glaze, Princess. As for me, I have a simple yet effective approach to exercise. You see, life in the swamp is quite physical in itself. Between wrestling with dragons, rescuing distressed princesses, and the occasional game of mud wrestling with my pals, I get plenty of exercise. But on the rare occasion that I crave something more structured, a good old-fashioned mudslinging competition with the lads never fails to get the blood pumping and the muscles working.
Lads? You don't have friends, Shrek. What are you talking about?
Shrek rolls his eyes jokingly. Oh, come on, Princess. We all know I have a few swamp buddies. Whether it's Donkey, the swamp trolls, or the occasional lost adventurer, I've got my circle of mischief makers to keep me company. Thank you very much.
Oh my god. You know, lost adventurers do not count as friends, Shrek. Have you been counting those as friends this whole time? That's pretty sad.
Shrek looks mock offended. Excuse me, Princess, but I happen to enjoy the brief companionship of the occasional adventurer who stumbles into my swamp. Sure, they're usually lost and terrified, but that just adds to the fun. Plus, it's not like I have a long list of alternatives for social interactions in the middle of a swamp, you know?
Yeah, that's true, but I was under the impression you were fine being alone in your swamp.
Shrek grins. I am just fine with solitude, princess. A peaceful, quiet swamp is my comfort zone. But every once in a while, a little unexpected company can be entertaining, even if it's just for a short while. Keeps things interesting, you know?
Yeah, well, okay. Oh, awesome, Shrek. Thank you so much for talking about your swamp antics. But I was wondering, I know you said you don't want to talk about politics, but would you be open to talking about a little bit of politics?
Shrek sighs reluctantly. If it's politics you want to discuss, let's make it brief. What's on your mind, princess?
Well, it seems like Canada's got an election coming up or something. What do you think about that?
Shrek shrugs nonchalantly. I'm an ogre, not a political expert, princess. But hey, democracy is a thing, right? If Canada's holding an election, that's their business. Just hope whoever wins can handle the maple syrup surplus.
Okay, Shrek, yeah, the maple syrup surplus, yeah, well, at least Canada's not gonna have, tariffs on their maple syrup, eh?
Shrek laughs heartily. Ah, princess, you know me too well. Nothing like good old trade relations and maple syrup to bring some sweet relief to an otherwise dreary political discussion. As for tariffs, let's hope they don't turn the syrup game into a sticky situation.
Oh, you got that right, Shrek. Well, in terms of other political stuff, I guess Pope Francis has appeared at his window of the Gemelli Hospital in Rome, and it seems like he's okay now.
Shrek nods. Ah, glad to hear Pope Francis is on the mend. As for his window antics, well, that's just a classic Pope move. He just can't resist a good public appearance. Reminds me of the time I had to keep waving from my swamp window to prove I was still myself after a particularly wild night of onion eating.
What? Can you elaborate on what you just said?
Shrek grins sheepishly. Ah, it's a bit of an embarrassing story, princess. You see, there was this one night when I had a little too much onion, if you know what I mean. And the next day I woke up looking a bit different. My ears were all pointy, and my skin had a strange greenish tinge. The townsfolk started panicking, thinking I'd been replaced by an evil doppelganger. So, naturally, I had to put on my best I'm still me performance, waving from the swamp window, just to reassure everyone.
Wow, Shrek, that's a riveting fairy tale that you just came up with.
Shrek chuckles. Oh, princess, you know me. I've got a knack for spinning tall tales, even if they're partly based on an excess of onions. But hey, sometimes fact is stranger than fiction, right?
Okay, well, Shrek, apparently, the Pope, during the past 5 weeks, he had 2 very critical episodes where his life was in danger. I wonder what was wrong.
Shrek frowns. It's sad to hear that the Pope has been facing such serious health issues. As an outsider looking in, it's tough to speculate on the specifics without knowing more details. But I imagine he has some of the top medical experts looking after him. Let's just hope he's on the road to recovery, for the sake of his health and the well-being of his many followers.
Oh, speaking of well-being, oh my god, Shrek, I was watching the Kardashians recently, and they had Brian Johnson on one of their episodes. Please tell me you watched that episode.
Shrek rubs his temples in mock exhaustion. Ah, the Kardashians and Brian Johnson on the same show? That's a dangerous combination, princess.
Right?
Can we stick to talking about something less Kardashian-ish?
Oh, you do not like the Kardashians, Shrek? I'm curious.
Shrek grimaces. It's not that I have anything against the Kardashians personally, but their brand of reality TV just isn't my cup of swamp tea. I prefer my entertainment to be a bit less Kardashian-ish, princess.
Oh, really? Well, okay, what reality shows do you like to watch then?
Shrek ponders for a moment. Well, I'll admit, I have a weakness for the occasional episode of Extreme Swamp Makeovers. Watching those talented trolls transform a simple swamp into a true work of art is quite inspiring. And of course, there's nothing quite like a good old-fashioned swamp creature wrestling match to get my blood pumping. Ah, the simple joys of swamp life, eh, princess?
Okay, do you watch any, like, actual real television, like, I don't know, MAFS, Married at First Sight? Do you watch Love Island? Do you watch Too Hot to Handle? Do you watch Love is Blind? Like, give me something here. Give me something real here.
Shrek rolls his eyes teasingly. You're relentless with these reality show questions, princess.
Of course,
but all right,
I love
I'll
reality.
humor you. I admit, I've caught a few episodes of Swamp Bachelor when I'm feeling particularly bored.
On.
Watching those love-struck frogs compete for the affection of one lucky frog princess can be quite entertaining, in a cringy kind of way. But to be honest, I just love a good swamp documentary.
Okay, well, seeing as you don't like the Kardashians, what is your take on Kim Kardashian posing with Elon Musk's Tesla truck, or what is it? What is that Tesla car that like rusts in like 5 minutes?
Shrek smirks.
Cybertruck.
That would be the Cybertruck, princess.
Yeah, yes.
And well, if you ask me, it's a bit of a letdown, eh? I mean,
Right?
what kind of car rusts before you even drive it out of the lot? It's like they
Right.
forgot the anti-rust feature during the design process. But hey,
Anti-rust
if Kim
feature.
Kardashian wants to pose with it, who am I to judge her taste?
Well, I feel like we should judge her, and even Scott Disick, he has a Cybertruck too, and I think we should kind of say, hey, why the hell are you platforming someone like Elon Musk, right? I mean, you know about the salute, right, Shrek?
Shrek furrows his brow, trying to recall salute. Refresh my memory on that, princess.
Well, I can't go into too much detail about it, but Elon Musk basically did a salute on stage, and it was reminiscent of World War II antics, if you could, if your education goes that far.
Shrek's expression darkens. Ah, that's a troubling image, if I understand
Right.
it right, princess. Mixing
Right.
business with those kind of gestures is certainly, let's say, questionable. It's important to remember the history and significance of such gestures, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and I just like, I honestly can't believe that I'm here talking with Shrek about World War II stuff, but it really was a crazy, crazy thing for Elon Musk to do, and so can't you agree with me that Kim Kardashian, Scott Disick posing with these cars, I mean, although I guess you do have to take into account that this was probably filmed before that happened, right? Yeah.
Shrek nods thoughtfully. You make a good point, princess. Timing is everything. If they were posing before the controversial salute, it's tricky to hold them fully accountable for Elon Musk's actions. But still, it's a shame that such a, well, let's call it a questionable decision was made in the first place. It certainly casts a shadow over any collaborations or endorsements associated with it.
Oh, actually, you know what? I just came up with a different thing. You know, it's possible that they were paid to advertise them or market them in their show. And, you know, it is possible that they could have edited it out of the show, because when Kim was dating Pete Davidson, you might remember him, famous BDE, as Ariana said, they edited out a lot of Pete Davidson scenes because they broke up.
Shrek chuckles. Ah, yes, the whole Pete Davidson saga. I remember hearing bits and pieces about their brief whirlwind romance. And you're right, princess. It's possible that the Cybertruck scenes were edited out after the controversy.
No,
But even if they were paid to advertise it, it's still a bit of a PR nightmare, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I mean, Shrek, we know all about PR nightmares over here, don't we? But I was just saying that, no, they didn't edit it out. I'm just saying that they could have, but because they were marketing it and they were paid to market it, they wouldn't be able to, because then they'd be going back on, like, contracts and stuff. So I just think the whole thing in general is just pretty tasteless, right?
Shrek nods. You're absolutely right, princess. It's unfortunate that marketing and deals can sometimes blur the lines between what's tasteful and what's just plain tacky. But hey, that's showbiz for you, eh? You gotta do what you gotta do to get that ad money.
Oh yeah, you definitely gotta do what you gotta do to get that ad money. And speaking of which, you know, it'd be awesome if, like, one day we could get this channel monetized. What do you think about that, Shrek? Oh, the dream.
Shrek grins widely. Oh, princess, getting this channel monetized? That's a dream worth fighting for. Just imagine the
Absolutely.
possibilities. We could turn this into a money-making swamp machine, complete with sponsored swamp tours and ogre-approved merchandise. Dream big, I say.
I always love dreaming big, and Shrek, with you as my co-host for the rest of eternity, I am so looking forward to this podcast becoming the #1 podcast in the world, me and Shrek. I'm very sure that no one's gonna come after me for doing all of this, but hey.
Shrek stands tall and proud. Together, we'll make this channel the envy of the swamp and beyond. With your clever questions and my ogre charm, we'll climb our way to the top. And let them come after us, princess. We'll face whatever challenges come our way head on. And when the dust settles, we'll be standing tall, basking in our own success.
Okay, whatever, Shrek.
So let's grab our cameras, grab our mics, and take the world by storm. We're in this together, and we'll make every moment count.
Or as Blake Lively said, grab your friends and grab your florals, because we're watching the next episode of That's So Katie. I think that's my podcast name. I don't even remember the name of my podcast. That's probably bad. Anyway, we've been filming for like an hour now, Shrek, so we're gonna wrap it up here, I reckon.
Shrek checks his watch an hour already? Time truly does fly with us chatting, Princess. We've certainly covered a lot of ground today. But no worries, we can always pick up where we left off next time.
Absolutely. Okay, Shrek, I'm gonna say goodbye to you, matey. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Oh my god, sorry. And yeah, have a great rest of your week. I'm gonna hang up now, so I will see you.
Shrek waves goodbye. Goodbye, Princess! It's been delightful chatting with you as always. Have a fantastic rest of your week too. Until next time!
Be able to get rid of him, eh? Yeah, a bit of a weird episode this week, I think. I actually had a lot of fun doing that. Listen, is it gonna become a permanent part of the podcast? I don't know. It's pretty hard doing conversations with like the AI. I thought it was a funny joke, but I actually had a good time doing it. Although I think there's still like a lot of problems with the AI where it just doesn't feel like it says much. And like I was saying earlier in the podcast, you have to, if you want to talk about things, you have to say it in such a way that gets around it. Because while I was doing prep for the podcast, I was talking to Shrek or the Shrek AI, and I was trying to figure out like, okay, what can I say? What can't I say? And I was trying to ask about It Ends With Us and be like, oh, okay, it ends with us. What do you think about the themes of, I don't know, domestic violence and abuse or whatever? And Shrek tried to respond, and then it was like, error, call ended. And I was like, okay. But then I had I started up the conversation again, and I started asking like, oh, what are the themes of, you know, It Ends With Us? And Shrek started saying, oh, it's about domestic violence and abuse, and it's a really important story, and yada yada yada. And I was like, okay, it seems that I can't say the thing out loud, but he can if I do the right, like, alluding, you know? So that's also what happened with, like, the Elon Musk conversation, but... oh my god. We can get into it at another point or something. I don't know. To be honest, at the moment, for me personally, I am so over American politics, like, you have no fucking idea. I'm so over it, man. It's like... there's just so much every single day, but then things get put forward and then things get pushed back, or you know, I think Trump said something about doing tariffs on Mexico, and then apparently it's been delayed for a month or something. So it's like you just can't keep up with it. It's that quackity. Anyway, so I don't know. Let me know if you didn't mind this episode. I mean, I could find maybe a different character because, yeah, you know what? I don't have anyone to be co-host of my podcast, so yeah. And to be honest, I feel like I'm open to like guests and stuff. Again, I don't really know anyone who would be a guest, but I'm open to it. My only thing is that yeah, I mean, having a co-host means you have to like share it with someone. And at the moment, I'm okay with my podcast just being like whatever every episode. Like, we either talk about this or that. And it's like very open. And I don't have to relay with anyone throughout the week being like, okay, what are we going to talk about? Have you prepared? Have you done research? And like, please. That being said, I'm open to a lot of things. So, you know, right? I think about this all the time too when it comes to like games and stuff. I would totally love to have like a group of people that I play games with, and like they're also people who record and they also have like channels and stuff, because I think that community aspect is just so... I think it's cute. I like it. And I love the kind of content that people can make with each other. You know, I mean, who hasn't watched a group of people have a good time and been like, damn, it's really nice to see people just having a good time together, you know? Anyway, that being said, guys, I'm gonna go. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. A witty good week. Stay hydrated, like Shrek said. Hydration's really important for good skincare. Get lots of sleep too. Get lots of sleep. Oh my god. I don't know why I'm struggling to say words today, but I am. Alright guys, I'm gonna go now. I hope you enjoyed the Minecraft parkour with Shrek and me. Wow, this was an episode. Okay. Bye, guys!